Two Pints in a Corner is a music history podcast about the Channel Club in Boston, Mass. Dinky Dawson and Tony Raine are your hosts. They interview channel performers and workers, bringing out stories and memories of the great music and events that came through this iconic South Boston venue. Welcome to Two Pints in a Corner with Tony Raine and Dinky Dawson. Tony is still acting... Well, actually, he's recovering from this massive thing he had last year. So I've got another guest interviewer. It's Sean McNally, and we're interviewing John Butcher. After all this time, John Butcher, welcome to Two Pints in a Corner.
Good afternoon, guys. How is everybody?
We're getting well. I'm sure that every day is a challenge for everybody. I'm still doing the old dialysis and what have you, but no problem, John. I still use the mind and still listen to some good music.
That's the most important thing. How you doing, Sean?
I'm good, my friend. The crazy times, as you know, but it's I'm glad to see you out there still doing your thing. It's very, very powerful, very positive.
I hardly know what to say about it, so I'll just let Dinky take it away.
Well,
I'm as overwhelmed by the world as you are, believe me.
Well, this is what we're talking about is the Channel Club. And I just wanted to let you know that you played 35 times there in the 10 years it was open.
Oh.
And the first show you did was September 17th, 1980, as John Butcher Access. And you did that. And then in 81, that was just one. In 81, you did 9 shows. In 82, you did 7 shows in 82, and then
including a sold out show New Year's Eve.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I was getting to. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then 7 in 1986. 2 in 87, 82 you did 7. Anyway, let me just go on about that. I'll ask the first question. Do you remember the first time you ever got to the channel, the first experience with the channel?
I do remember, and at the time, we didn't have a record deal. We weren't yet signed to Polygram. And so we were counting on a fan base, an audience that followed us from Johanna Wild.
That's it.
Because Johanna Wild got some airplay on WBCN.
That's right.
That first show that we did was pretty good. I couldn't tell you what the numbers are today, but I can tell you the place was packed. And as a result, we built upon that, which is, I guess, why we played the channel so many times.
Well, it's the big room, and I know you played other venues in town because you were rampant in the 80s, and until you went to LA, and then you did that was a whole different world. But I'd like to say that you played in 1984 with a group called the Schemers that opened for you. These guys were from Rhode Island. Well, the Schemers drummer is my oncology doctor. And he is the head of oncology here in Plymouth. And I thought I'd let you know.
And he was also a drummer, though, right?
Yeah, he was a drummer. His son plays every instrument now, and he's been doing shows in Austin on the week there. He's been doing different shows with different people. But his son's doing that stuff and whatever. And then March 26, 1986, you did a WBCN lunch concert, and it was absolutely brilliant. I remember that. And then
that was off the hook. I'll tell you what, Dinky, I remember that show.
You do remember?
I remember coming to the show and having a hard time getting anywhere near the parking lot. And we were so excited to do it, I can't even tell you.
I love that when the parking lot's full. I love it. But the kid, because it was all ages. That was the big deal, and it was
exactly.
BCN, and you got their crowd under your thumb. It was so good. I like that one. And then May 17th, 86, a band open for him that we had last week, Dan Larson. It was called The Keep. He was the only band that ever came off the Cape that
How about that?
Warren put on, and he's got some good stories. Oh, Dan's been with you. He's on that same circuit.
I know Dan well. He's a good guy.
He's a good guy, and you guys are great combination together, I'm sure, because you both played incredible music. And you have an extra.
Well, I hope he and I get a chance to work together soon.
Well, I'm sure some of the local places like Sean would do this. Sean would get you guys together and put you on somewhere that you both love to play as individuals, and then play on that. But you can jam this stuff too, John. You know, over the years, the record companies have stopped all that kind of stuff, going and hanging out with friends and jamming, because you're on that label and they're on another label. And the days that you were started and you did it, you could jam with everybody and have such a good time. And
well, yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I do more of that now than I ever did. There's nothing stopping musicians from getting together.
No.
As far as record companies, they don't even come into play anymore. You know that.
Well, that's true. But if you sign for them, though, on the big level, it's a pain in the neck, because they want everything. So they want your writing royalties, and now they want your merchandise, which is what you all lived on, you know?
Yeah, how about that?
And Sean, jump in here and we can do some what you want to talk about.
Yeah, well, no, John's a couple good points here. I mean, it's great because you mentioned all these times they played the channel, and it's funny. I remember Harry mentioned that every time John played, every time acts was there, was always packed, always a huge audience, always a big crowd, so much fun. And it's kind of funny you played there as much as you guys did, John, because you were obviously back then also on the road quite a bit doing national tours, doing arena tours. Maybe you can talk about that for a second.
Yes, definitely.
On those years, now I want to say we got signed to Polygram in I want to say 1982. I'm not sure, but I think so. And so we began to do tours to support the record with some of the other bands that were on the label. That was before Def Leppard came along. In those early days, I think they saw us. They put us on tour with the record label arranged a tour with Scorpion.
Oh.
Now, listen, nothing against them. I like the Scorpions, but I don't think that they understood quite what to do.
Exactly. I think you're right. Yeah,
I don't think they did,
At 83, you didn't really do much.
I think back then it was just a matter of, like you say, let's get one of these our newer acts out there in front of some people, right? Because they
yeah. You can see
let's sell some records. Let's introduce the acts to an audience,
right.
maybe, and then hopefully they click, and then they move on and do more and more tours. I mean, at the very least, one thing great about the record labels at the time, they had that kind of power, so they could put you in an arena, whether it's for Def Leppard or Rush.
No, you're right. You're right about that. And the truth of the matter is, whether it was Scorpions or Def Leppard or whomever, we expanded our fan base.
Yes.
And that has served me all of these years later.
Yes, definitely. And you're still
absolutely, and that could be my next point. Is you're not just like sitting back in your laurels, John. You've been as busy, if not busier than ever, between recordings, TV business, videos, live gigs. Obviously, you're still there doing your dates, whether it's the Axis or doing other shows you're working on. You're the lead focus essentially on some of these not tribute shows, like rock and roll circus shows, all the old Boston rockers like James Montgomery and Danny Klein and whatnot. But you're still out there, man. It's so it doesn't take any kind of special introduction and let people know who you are. But maybe you can just talk a bit about what you are doing these days live.
Yeah,
I'm. You know how I see it? It's a continuum. It's not as if I stopped being a musician for a number of years and then picked it up. I never stopped, as you say, Sean. I never really saw any other alternative to being a musician. I never did. So once I started moving forward, it led to records or tours or I dabbled in film and TV when I was living in California. And the fact of the matter is, these days I'm making music for fans of mine. I release records and vinyl, and I'm playing live, and those are the things that sustain me.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's
Awesome.
great stuff, because that's what you
I'm
need.
also, I should mention, I'm also creating media music for those who might be listening who don't know what to do with regard to video. I have a company that has excelled in making a video accessible to people who understand the importance of it.
Oh, that's
Fantastic.
nice. That's a good one. I like that one. I know you had your hands into a lot of stuff, but your hands are great on that guitar, That's all I know. I said,
Well, hey, you know what? Fortunately, knock on wood, no arthritis. They're still moving.
that's a biggie. That's huge. I mean,
Yeah.
I saw. Well, I worked and did some shows with Jimmy, and I said to myself when I first saw you do a few Jimmy songs, I said, "Well, he's got the feeling, he's got the vibe, and boy, does he have the sound." I says, yeah.
I appreciate you saying that. I've been, he's the master. Everybody who plays guitar knows Jimmy is the master, and I've been doing my very best to keep that interest and passion for that style of music alive.
There's nobody else.
Nobody else
like
I
you,
know
John.
is doing that. I mean, that's great. That's fantastic. His music came from his accordion. He was an avid accordion player, and he used to go to Charlie Watkins at the Wem, and they'd have lunch together, and they'd sit in there. Both of them would play. He'd play his tunes on the accordion and stuff he was working on the accordion, and Charlie would jump in and have a good old time on his accordion. So
that's the first time I've ever heard that. I didn't know that.
Oh, he was a master at 13. He won all awards and stuff when he was 13 as an accordionist.
On the accordion?
Yeah. Was not the guitar.
Nope, I never knew that.
Yeah, that's the thing that keeps in mind. But people say, "Oh no, he never did this, but he never did that." But it's true. I mean, and when you've got friends like that, you work together. I mean, he worked together with Charlie with his sounds. Look, his Echoplex broke down at the Isle of Wight. Well, Charlie's has this thing called copycat. Well, he put three copycats together, got him the sound he wanted in the middle of a song with Jimmy. And Jimmy and him are on Jimmy's out the side of the stage playing, and because his Echoplex absolutely crapped out. And Charlie says, "Oh, I'll get that sound, no problem."
What? I didn't know that either.
No,
that must have been exciting for you to be around.
No, he's my mentor, Charlie Watkins. And when Charlie tells me the stories and stuff of people like David Bowie coming when he first started, to come into the WEM and sit down and have lunch with Charlie and ask about the acts that he did from the 50s, from Buddy Holly to all the 50s acts that came across and the 60s acts that started coming across early on. And Charlie just did all the sound for free, you see. And that's all those big festivals like Isle of Wight, the one in that we did a lot in London in the park. They're all done for free. All the sound systems done for free. And Charlie just loved the musicians, loved playing with them all, and having a great time. But we became very close friends with Jimmy because he used to come over nearly every lunchtime when he knew Charlie was in the office, and whatever.
Wow. I sure would have. I'm sorry I missed that. I would have liked to have been a part of that.
It's a whole different thing. It's like Jimmy coming in at the speakeasy after a show at 3:00 in the morning down in London.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
And he'd pick up the bass. I get Danny and Danny Cohen and Peter and Eric Clapton and Buddy Miles on drums and people like that. They would all jam for 2 hours. They just played,
Wow.
They just played sessions, and we drove from different clubs to come down there to have a drink at late night. And
I think that's cool.
And that was the coolest thing that you could do. And, in the midweek and stuff, you would have a great old time and say, "Are we ready for the weekend now? We've played with our friends, and that kind of stuff worked. It's like Peter and Danny going down the steps in, for instance, at Abbey Road. And these guys are playing this song
And they turned around and said, and they started this new song called "Here Comes the Sun King," and dedicated it was all Peter. If you listen to that album,
Wow.
it's all Fleetwood Mac. If you listen to the album that we did in '69, it's
Yeah.
they took it all off of that. They just fell in love with what Peter had got going as Fleetwood Mac.
I think that's pretty cool.
It's really cool. But that's the thing with you. You're doing it now. It's not 1960. It's not 70. It's not 80.
No, it isn't.
It's the modern times. It's a new century.
I'm afraid so. Yes.
But
Yeah.
you brought it along, and you've excelled on it, and that's what Sean really loves, to be able to go see your shows, work with you on these shows to make sure everything's cool, and enjoy the life, enjoy what's going on.
There's something called authenticity.
Yes.
That's been important to me since I was 19 years old, and trying to figure out where I fit into music. And I always wanted to try and do and play and write music that was authentic in some way, authentic to myself, or some authenticity. And so I've hoped, through all of my recordings, that I've done some of that. I hope so.
Yeah, no, it's all captured. Everything's documented when you record it, whether it be a live show that you didn't even expect it, and the sound engineer recorded it for you. It's recorded. It's documented history of that time period.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful.
It certainly is.
Because you can go back and reflect on it and say, wow, I did that on that night. That would surprise me now. I played that. I played that.
Well, I got to be honest with you, though. It just speaking for myself, sometimes it's hard for me to listen to my first record because I think that my voice was like squeaky.
You were young. You were young. You were young.
It was high and squeaky, and I was still sorting out, how to work out my voice. It's hard for me to listen to, but I don't want to knock it because a lot of people love that first album.
Well, it's a great album. I mean, everybody in town was absolutely floored with it, especially BCN. I mean, Carter just loved to play this stuff. John has got this, and then I'd get him coming through, and is John playing tonight? Because people were popping like Mark Prenter and say, "Is John?"
I can't. Hey, man, I can't thank BCN enough.
Yeah,
I can't. If any entity was responsible for putting me and my band on the map, it's them.
Yeah, even Dan Lawson was saying the same thing about his Cape band.
Yeah,
he's saying the Keep. They played him. Then when and even now, Carter can't believe what he's doing because he's really just continued with it. And Dan's wife's in the band too, and she's a DJ and a minister down on the Cape at the Pixie. And I'm saying, yeah, she's got it too. She's singing. It's just it's just wonderful stuff to have all your family and your friends in there. And but with you, I see that a couple of times you played as John Butcher with Not the Axis. December 1st, 1989, you played with John Butcher. 17th of September,
Where was that?
That was at the Channel. And
okay. Oh, okay.
I'm just looking at the sheet here that I took everything out. I've got everything in the database, and what I've done is just taken this morning all the time to go through every one of the years and find what you played and when you played and what was going on.
Oh, I got to tell you, I didn't know I played there that much.
But that's what everybody said. Rick
when
Berlin
you said the
this.
number of dates out loud.
Rick Berlin flipped out when he knew how many times he played there.
I was surprised. I had no idea.
35 times.
It's one of the things we talked about. It's kind of a common theme on these shows, John. It's how supportive the whole Boston music scene network was back in, especially in the 80s.
80s,
and 90s, when we had, BCN was gigantically important for so many bands, and DJs like Carter were just out there. They were the guest MCs or the guest DJs at the channel. Then it just kind of became this wildfire, so to speak. And then getting on the station as powerful as BCN and having that kind of support. I mean, not just Axis. I can remember so many bands. I remember like the Atlantics. Like they had that
Yeah.
single "Lonely Hearts."
Yeah.
Carter jumped on it, and it became like literally one of their top fives on their entire year. They weren't even signed yet. So
How about that?
amazing.
Oh, yeah,
But it
yeah.
was such a supportive scene. Obviously it's a friendly competition, right? Back in those days, you had the Jump with Your Axis, you had the Fools, the Stompers, Face to Face, the Neighborhoods, THN Records, all these bands, competing for an audience. But back then you could play out every month, every week. You could be playing a show in the Channel one week and then play up in Grover's the next week. Or
I know. I was just about to say, you're so right. What was the thing that was missing then? The internet. And so if you wanted live music, you went out every weekend. There are people I knew that were out every weekend, some out every night.
And it didn't cost a fortune to go out.
Played so many times. No wonder.
Yeah, well, it didn't cost
it was a great amazing time.
It didn't cost a fortune to go, because you could go to the Rat, say, earlier, or one of the other clubs, and then come to the Channel.
I know. How about that?
Channel later, because you knew the major act wouldn't be until after midnight, and that was a really good thing about the Channel. And I know Sean loves to talk about that one because he remembers kicking people out at that time.
Well, I had many nights when I wasn't working there, and like you say, you could, back then you could take advantage. Those of us who worked in the scene, you could go see your buddy's band open up first at the Rat at 9:30, then head over to Bun Ratty's at 11 o'clock to see the next guy playing their second set, then get down to the Channel.
But that was
midnight or 1 o'clock to see the headlining band, and then you guys are on, and you just stayed there and end the night in there, and go get some Chinese food at Moon Villa at 3 a.m. right after the gig's over. Just such a
wonderful
great blast back in that.
It was wonderful. It was a really good scene, and that's the whole thing. I'm talking of the whole Boston, not just the Channel. I'm talking of all Boston.
Yeah, I agree.
And everything that went down in there. It's a little different now because things have evolved into too much insurance to get a show on, too much money to do this, to even just think about a show. And unless it's in a nice club still where you can go and play, you get paid to play, and it's what it is. It's different, but still good. I mean, if you're playing up in Hampton Beach, you're playing Channel style stuff, and that's a good thing, because I know you. Everywhere you play, you've been packing the places for such a long time and loving it. And
I'm lucky. I was saying earlier, we had a chance to establish a base of fans and music lovers.
Yes.
Who knew who I was and liked what I did. And having established that, they've stayed with me now throughout my entire career.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
And those venues that are still out there these days, it's a different vibe. It's not as much as it used to be back in the older days, where it's like, let's sell as much booze as we can and get the kids in on a cheap ticket just to see people and get them drunk and whatnot. Now, the venues that are still out there kicking, there's a few of those old time places around, but not very many. But now these newer places, which have been great and very accommodating, actually, to John, your show. There's like an old renewed church down the Cape called the Spire, which you know very well, Dinky. I saw you there a few weeks back.
Yeah.
It's an old chapel that's been reconvened into an excellent venue where the stage is now, the altar is now the stage, and the pews are where the people see. It's a fantastic venue. They have you in there every year, once a year, and it's always a packed house. Same with the T-Can over in Natick. It's another venue.
Yeah.
It's been retributed into a live venue, and it's another fantastic room. And I'm not sure when this is going to air. I think it's going to air in December, Dinky. But I know you also have a show coming up at Jimmy's Jazz and Blues Club early December. I think it's the 6th. And
I'm doing 2 shows I'm excited about in December coming up. The first is at Jimmy's Jazz Club in what's the city, Sean? New Hampshire.
Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Yeah, Portsmouth, New Hampshire. On the 6th of December.
Yep.
And then 2 weeks later, we're playing a special holiday show at Off Cabot in Beverly, Massachusetts on December 20th.
Well, I think this podcast will be probably unfortunately up on the 17th, but it'll get you the Cabot.
Okay.
The Cabot.
Well, not some more shows then, right? I can tell you that I know that John Butcher Action is going to be confirmed very shortly for the aforementioned Aspire down in Plymouth.
You will definitely be playing down here. There's no ifs and buts. They've got all kinds of people coming in right now. And I think Dan might be playing there soon too, because he's been doing stuff around. Well, he's still playing down on the Cape a lot, but that's what he wants to do right now. You know,
that'll be Saturday. It's announced actually yesterday, Saturday, March 14th. It'll be announced very soon for John Butcher.
That's cool. This is cool. You see, you gained them well in advance, and it's the good places. Everyone that Sean's mentioned has got a good rapport with everyone, you know, and the one in Gloucester up there, that's another one that's got good rapport with people. And that one is supposed to be very nice to play because it's so funky.
It's a great room. In fact, just this past weekend, John headlined a show there. It was a benefit for a local food pantry. You know, these these are crazy times right now, right? With the whole snap and government shutdown, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think it's too political, but there was a benefit last weekend up there for Open Door, which is a Gloucester pantry, and it was sold out. They raised a ton of money. There was people buying shirts and buying posters.
Excellent.
It was just like a throwback. People were standing and dancing the entire time. It was fantastic. And that was at the Cut in Gloucester. And I know that we're looking for a John Butcher access date there next summer as well. But that's another great venue that's around. And last week's show was fantastic.
Now,
it really was.
Now, John, you had the access. Yes. And then when you left Boston to go to LA, you played with Leland Scar and a bunch of the lads out there. How was that whole changing? Was that all to do with movies, or all to do with is it changing?
Yeah, those things happened simultaneously. It was the beginning of the the Los Angeles chapter of my life.
Yeah,
I was there. I was there for 19 years.
Wow, I didn't know.
After the band broke up, my life had changed. I started doing music for television. And at the same time, I met Leland Sklar, and we formed a band called Barefoot Servants.
That's it. That was the one.
Yeah. We did 2 albums, both of which I'm very proud of. They're available now. In fact, all that stuff is available at my website.
JohnButcher.com?
JohnButcher.com.
Cool. Yeah. Cool.
Easy enough.
Yeah, listen, everyone out there. JohnButcher.com. That's what it is. And
you can get
JON Butcher.com. Don't forget that.
Yeah, JON.
Yeah, of course. That's how you spelled it.
All that music is available. The Barefoot Servants albums and Axis albums and my solo records and all kinds of stuff. It's a fun place. I urge everybody to come and take a visit.
I'm sure the people
who's listening. Funny, we went to talking about legends. Aside from yourself, mentioned Jimmy earlier, of course, but during your LA time, you also had a chance to interact with one of the guys who might be known by our listeners. You know, Steve Vai, Eddie Van Halen, Jeff Beck. You know, just some casual guys you come across here and there, I guess, right? Maybe you could give a little bit of light of how the time out there, John, with what you're doing with the music, and you kind of ran circles with them, along with Leland Scar, of course.
I think it was. I was working at a studio called Pasha, Pasha, in Hollywood, and I recorded a couple records there. In fact, when I got signed to Capitol Records, I did those albums at Pasha. Anyway, that studio was a conduit for all kinds of musicians, from Jeff Beck to Eddie Van Halen, and I got a chance to interact with these guys and talk music and life and have dinner. And really broaden my musical horizons. So I'm very thankful for those years that I spent in LA and at Pasha Records.
That's great.
Very cool.
That's very, very cool. I like that a lot. And you took the Bostonners to them, lady.
I think so. At least I think that's how they saw it. We had one night we were having dinner. Me and Eddie and Jeff at the table with our girlfriends and wives.
Yeah.
And of course, all we talked about really was cars and guitars.
Yeah.
Jeff Beck is into cars.
Yeah. Right? Oh yeah, big time.
So I guess what I found out is that I was like a Boston curiosity, like a young kid. They had already established themselves, and I was just coming up.
Yeah.
And I had a mutual interest in the genuine excitement and love of making music, and that spoke to them, I think.
Well, that definitely would,
Today.
Especially Jeff Beck. Jeff Beck, a little story about that when he first came to Boston. He came to work for Don Law. Don Law had him booked in, and Don actually went to the airport to pick him up in a Volkswagen, and the Volkswagen bus broke down in the middle of one of the streets in Boston. Jeff jumps right out and starts getting on in the side there, in the back there, and messing with whatever. Next thing you know, let's go. He's fixed it. And Don's like, what? Well, I like to do cars, I like to work on cars. Flipped Don right out. That was his first reaction in Boston when he came here. But I've worked with Jeff on the Mahavishnu tour, and with Bernard Purdy on drums playing with him, Max Middleton on keyboards. And,
wow!
And I did the Mahavishnu tour with Jeff in town. We had a great tour. That John was headlining one night, and then Jeff would headline another night. That kind of thing, because it was packed for both acts. And Jeff was doing the fusion at that time. His Blow Blah Blow or whatever I think it was, or something like that. And
which I think is his greatest album, in my opinion.
He put his heart into every note, and that's what you do.
Yeah.
That's what you do when you do it.
I think that's his greatest album. When I think of Jeff Beck, Blow by Blow is what I think of.
Yeah, I think that's what I do. Even though I knew him before that, when it was 1967 in the Steam Packet, coming through the club that we had in Sheffield called the Mojo Club. And he liked to work in the cloakroom so he could see all the girls taking off their coats because they all wore negligees that time period, especially on an all night show. And he'd come in and he'd be just played in Newcastle. That's, hundreds of miles away. And he comes down there, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, and we've got the Steam Packet on, and then we've got the Who on after that,
Wow.
That was
Talk about a music scene.
Well, it was a scene, but you see, that scene is what I loved about that 80s in Boston. 80s and like that, like Sean said, is the 80s and 90s that were coming up. Not just, the genres that you played, but all the other stuff that came through, the world music, for instance, the different genres in that. The punks that really came through, the hardcore punks that came through, and then the bands like Autograph or whatever from Russia, and stuff like that. But you see, you guys nailed it every night from that time period. That's why I mentioned you played there before I even got there in 84 or 85 or where it was when I came in there. And you played so many times, and I'm saying established. And B. Shane's got them in there on the radio all the time. That's all I heard was, when I first got in there, is, have you seen John Butcher in here? And I says, the next time when you played, I was like, oh my goodness, this is an act and a half. This has really got the heart. And you've continued it through. You've not even deviated. You've excelled at it. That's the thing that's really got me going. And Sean just can't. He just loves to be able to go and see you and work with you on them shows and stuff, because he's seeing us every night and feeling every night every note that comes from you. Even if he's on the side yatting to people, it don't make any difference. He's got that vibe going in there,
There's nothing like live music, and obviously the talent is unmistakable, and it's I have zero skills musically, but as far as like enjoying it and appreciating it, it's a gift, man. I tell you, and I speak for a lot of folks about John and others. It's really something to just get there and just observe it and soak it in and watch it and just know you're really experiencing something very, very special today.
Yes,
I am very grateful to have come along to Boston when I did. I think each year that passes makes me realize how lucky I was.
Where did it come from originally?
A small part of that.
Where did it come from originally?
I'm sorry?
Where did it come from originally?
I had moved from Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
To Boston to go to school. Yeah.
Oh, you're going to the school here. That makes sense.
I went to a college that Johnny A was going to at the same time. I didn't know that. Graham Junior College, right in Kenmore Square.
Yeah, I remember that one. Nancy was shaking her head. Yeah, she remembers it.
Yeah, me and Johnny A went to Graham at the same time.
Wow, that's a good combination, you guys.
How about that, huh?
Yeah, he he's good at what he's been doing very well. Johnny's got a talent and a half. When I first saw them with his wife there, his girlfriend at the time, they were exciting. But you two guys just brought Boston to me, and then people like Rick Berlin brought Boston to me. And I'm saying, this is like where I live in Sheffield. I have Frank White, I have David Berry and the Cruisers, I have Joe Cocker, I have, all my friends from there and Pete Fenner and Kevin McVan that could play guitar like I couldn't believe. And I'm like, what's going on here? It's similar. Boston.
You found the same kind of community here.
Exactly. And that's why I loved the scene, and that's why I ended up. That's why I ended up taking and getting the trademark for the channel. I said I can't miss this scene. This is a real good scene. The people that work there, the people that not just played there, but everyone that came in that room. There was a few that were a little bit off the wall, but Sean would take care of that and his crew. And
I think about the channel, which was great. You could, literally every genre of music under the sun, right? You could see James Brown one night and go see the Stompers and the Jumbo Axis, and then you bring in the Metallica and Slayer will play there, and you get the rap shows and the world music shows and Yellowman and reggae. It's just anything and everything under the sun. Which is such a great room. Johnny, I'm just curious. Did you ever? And you were so busy on the road, but did you ever take any shows in there as like either a guest or a fan, and anybody any show kind of remember?
That's
remember at the channel specifically?
I most certainly did. The one show that stands out is when I went to. Let me think. When I went to see the B-52s at the channel in I think it was April of 1982. I think, and though the B-52s then were new, and they blew the roof off the place.
I believe it.
Yeah, they were special. They were definitely different.
I was floored.
They're still out there. Hard to believe. They just did a big tour with Devo and Leno Lovitch about a month ago. They were doing a U.S. Sheds tour, which is pretty insane. They're out there doing their thing. But that's a great show to see in a club, no question about it.
That show that I saw back then in 1982, the B-52s, it was one of the best rock shows I've ever seen.
That's so cool. Very cool.
Yep.
I wasn't there.
So, what I did mention, you mentioned me at one point, I forget, maybe I heard this from someone else, but at some point, you remember, I heard a show where you were playing the channel as John Butcher Axis, and I think you guys are still fairly new in the scene, but you had some pretty famous Boston alumni nearby, side stage, in the beings of the Tyler.
You're talking about Steven Tyler.
Yeah. What's that story, please?
Okay. So there I am. We're in the middle of our set, and I just glanced to my right, and there he was. He was just standing there. Like, where did he come from? And he was in the wings, off stage, and while I was trying to figure it out, I wish I could remember what song we were doing. But he started dancing, and I'm dancing, and finally, the people who were in the front row, crowded against the stage, saw who it was, and of course, the whole place blew up, and that was a really fun memory. He was, you know what? That was a guy that dug music. He really liked new stuff, and it turned him on. You know what I mean? He was able to put the rock star aside and just dig on the thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, even Joe Cody talked about it when they came to see Extreme and stuff like that, but he was seeing James Brown. And when he saw James Brown, he was like in tears. He couldn't believe how that show was so magnificent to every note.
Yeah.
Every single note. Yeah, it's an amazing thing, because did you do any other bands that you came to see, or you just had popped in and said, "Oh, I got to quickly see them. It's on."
Well, as I think, of course there were. Look, I saw the Stompers play at the channel, and they too blew the roof off the joint. I was there. I saw it happen. Yep. There have been a lot of shows by guys that I know personally
Yeah.
who had a great experience at the channel, a great concert experience. I was just one of them, but there's a list of them. I know you guys know who they are.
Yeah.
Sure.
We've been compiling it since I did the database at the Phoenix that year. It took me a year after I got the cancer. I said I'm going up there every week, and we started filling in the blanks for the database. I was saying, wow, they played 4 times in a month.
Sal Baglio and the Stompers, especially in those days, they were doing exactly what we were doing, which is carving our own audience. Making our own fan base that would stick with us forever. And they did the same thing. And so I went to see them one night to see what all the fuss was about. And I got it. Immediately I understood that Sal was a guy who could work a crowd.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
He's always good at that. He's been good at that.
One of the great things about the channel, too, is, as you know, playing different venues around New England, there was nothing like that stage, and especially the PA, right? Dinky's sound system there was legendary, the country over. Everybody who came near Boston, we got to get to the channel, got to play the channel. Any local band worth their salt, we got to headline the channel. We have to get the channel. And even the band who was like a local band starting out, that was like their biggest goal. They didn't care about being on the radio. They wanted to play the channel stage because of that and stage and because of that sound system and production value. It was really top shelf back at that time.
It was top shelf. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. You just mentioned the sound system. I just remembered that was one of the handful of clubs in the Boston area that had pro concert sound.
Yeah. Yeah, that was. I gone touring with that. I brought it off tour and put it in I think it was '84 at the time. You played there earlier with the big horn stuff. It still worked because I played there with a group called State of Mind a couple of times, which is friends of mine from down the South Shore. They're still off and on playing best, little bits here and that and then, but they never excelled because they had really good jobs, so they didn't want to lose the jobs for all the wives, girlfriends, and whatever. And the bottom line is that the sound that was in there was definitely a club sound. But then when I brought in the sound I had on tour with the big boys with 2 systems with a separate vocal system, I could get the engineers that came through. I said, look, use this. You want a bit more vocal? No problem. You want Man of War that's doing 130, 140? I can still hear the vocals. You can still hear the vocals.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you could feel the music. You could feel every note that you played. Once it was cranked up, you'd feel every single note that you played and the pressure on your string. That was what I was doing with Peter Green. I was putting the pressure, letting him play the pressure on the string and letting it excel into the sound system, and people would be flipping. Because it
definitely made a big difference.
It makes a difference to do. And even like Sean says, it was all the different music from reggae, and once they came in, the Kingston RD and stuff, and they're like, wow, what's all these little speakers? What's all this stuff? It's a hi-fi. What's a hi-fi? We never heard of that. It's not public address. It's music reproduction. And you want to have music, you want to have the bass feel good, the drums feel good, the keys feel good, but also a guitar cutting your head off. I used to love that. That's why I'd with all the bands, I'd sit there with Peter, and Peter would hit a 6-string bass in, like, for instance, the Grande Ballroom in Detroit, and I was doing this long solo on 6-string bass, and he looked at me at the board, and I said, yeah, okay, no problem. I sent Chris on stage to plug up every amplifier into Peter's. I used the whole sound system, and I tell you, MC5 couldn't even cut it after we done. I don't know,
MC5, I saw them in Detroit. They were, they were one of the loudest bands I ever heard in my life.
I destroyed them. That's why all the plaster was coming off the wall there. and they were free. And Russ Gibb was freaking out. He wanted his money back because next day on the plane he'd sent the boys looking for it. He couldn't believe it. He says, I want the repairs. I said, don't get any repairs from one.
Yeah, I know you're real busy these days. I know you also you haven't stopped working, right? I know you have a brand new record. Maybe give a quick plug to that before we end today's interview.
Yeah, really.
Oh, thanks for mentioning that. I just released a new album called Nothing But Soul. It can be heard at my it can be found at my website, johnbutcher.com, or anywhere fine music is downloaded. All the usual suspects from Spotify, etc. And
Awesome.
Sean, thanks for mentioning that. I'm
really
proud of this record.
Yeah,
I know that my fans will dig it, and I encourage everyone who's interested in checking out energetic music to check out Nothing But Soul.
I love that title.
Awesome.
Nothing But
Great.
Soul. I love that title. It's really, really good. Oh,
John,
you for saying
thanks
that.
so much. I'll let Dinky wrap us up. I know you've been busy, and I appreciate finding us a half an hour of time or 40 minutes of time here. So thanks again for that.
I had fun. Thanks very much for inviting me, you guys.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad Sean was able to get hold of you this week to be able to get it together. I much appreciate it.
Yeah, I had
very
fun.
much. Oh, that's what we're after. We'll have fun memories, fun times, and you hit the nail on the head today. You did a really good one.
Dinky, you call me anytime, okay?
I thank you. We will definitely be in touch for sure. More than
All right.
this.
All right, you guys. Take care now.
Thank you. And this is 2 Pints in a Corner, signing off right now with John Butcher and Sean McNally and Dinky Dawson here. Thank you.